Hello, everyone, and welcome into another episode of the Gibson Show. And today I am joined by Dora from Mkers. Dora, welcome on in, and how are you doing?
Hello, everyone. Hello, Gibson. I'm doing fine.
Yeah?
I'm doing fine.
You a
Doing great.
You a little bit excited? There's a small matter of closed SI qualifier starting tomorrow.
Obviously, I'm excited. First MV Quals for me, even though the Makers guy already won one. It's the first one for me.
And is there any, nerves coming into the weekend? Because obviously this is a whole different ball game to Challenger League.
Obviously, I'm a bit nervous, but like the days before the game, I'm usually pretty chilling. Like I don't do much stuff. We scream, we were training, and I do basically nothing else. So that's my way of dealing with it, and I'm fine.
Well, I suppose the day before a big game, you do want to just, relax, get all your stress levels down so you can go into tomorrow in the best shape possible. Because, if things go well tomorrow, it could be a pretty long day.
Yes.
So I suppose we'll get stuck right in. We're gonna talk a little bit about your career first and how you kind of ended up, being a professional player now for Mkers. So kicking things off, Dora. Obviously, I know a little bit about you from your time, I think, back in ECS a long time ago. You would have known the likes of Kenny from 10 Star, Jerry, Whippet, those guys. But before then, you obviously got into gaming. And at some point, you probably realized, I'm pretty good at this. I wouldn't mind actually playing competitive. Talk me through how you got into gaming and then when you kind of realized that you were good enough to actually play at a competitive level.
Okay. So I got into gaming when I was really young, I think, because like my father used to play and he's still playing racing games, so like simulator games. So the first game I played was, I believe, a rally game. Like I don't remember the name. It was Colin McRae.
Colin McRae. I used to love those.
So I obviously started playing for fun when I was really, really young. I moved then onto FPS games, like free FPS games on Steam, really horrible stuff, honestly. And as soon as Siege came out, I didn't start playing it from like the earliest seasons because I had a bad PC and I couldn't play it. So I started playing it around Red Crow, I believe. So when Echo came out. Right below Velvet Shell was the one after it. Even with Siege, I started pretty slow because like I wasn't at my house full time. I couldn't really grind it as much as I do now. And I believe about 2 to 3 years ago, I started taking it a bit more seriously. But still, I was playing with friends. I was having fun. In ECS League, ESA, like I was starting to play Tier 4. I started to play Tier 4 around that time, I believe. We even won an ECS season with, what was the team name? The team name was Inderland. We had 3 Italian players and 2 Norwegians, I believe. Then, after about like around a year and a half ago, I got into an Italian team and we started playing the B Series Qualifiers, so like the Italian second league. We got into it. We played it all throughout the whole season. And we ended up getting picked up by an PG org. Axolotl. It was Axolotl. But at the same time, Makers contacted me because I've been grinding the game pretty hard, so I got recognized by some of the Makers guys, and they wanted to give me a trial. I believe I got also a bit lucky, because like I think you need that a bit. Even though I was grinding really hard, I played a good season of B-Series, and I was a decent player. I think I still got a bit lucky to get trialed. But it ended up well. They ended up picking me up because they needed a replace for Scatto. Because he wanted to leave the team. He wanted to leave Siege in general. So yeah, and now I'm here.
And obviously, as someone who was involved in the esports scene, you would have been watching competitive gameplay. When you look back at what Makers achieved by making it to SI at the level of, playing outside of Pro League, was there part of you that kind of said when you were watching that, I want to do that, I want to play with those guys? Because for Italian players, Makers is one of the biggest orgs out there, and there's a couple of Italian players inside Pro League, but the three guys on your team, Lolo, Gemini, Acqui, those guys, they're kind of like the big names in Italian Siege.
Well, obviously, when Makers went to SI, and I was, as I said, just playing with an Italian team in the B Serious League, it was really insane. Like, you really look up to those guys when these things happen, because Italian competitive scene isn't recognized at all. Like, and obviously, in the last year in the Italian league, it's only been Makers and Machko, I believe. So yeah, the fact that an Italian team made SI was pretty hype at the time, and that becomes your dream when you see those guys playing at SI. You say, I want to play with those guys. I want to be there as well. So hopefully we can make that work.
Well, it's in your own hands. At the end of the day, this weekend, the only real people who can stop you is yourselves, which I think is an attitude that you got to take into this weekend. So joining those three guys, obviously from watching the way Makers play, you just have a fun play style. But one thing that always stood out to me is Lolo is a real difference maker, and Gemini seems to be so good along with Acqui at the way the tandem of those three work. What has it been like for you playing with those three, and have you learned much that has really helped you as a player?
I've learned almost everything I know right now from them, because when I joined them, I wasn't like anywhere near good I am right now. So even with Sasha, I learned a lot from Sasha as well. Like from Acqui, I think I learned the most, because he's the IGL and he's the one who talks the most in game. And as the support of the team, I'm trying to kind of help him with that, because I'm the one who's droning the most. I'm the one who can see the round from above the most. Lolo being a difference maker is pretty big for the team, because he can carry for sure, and that helps us. The synergy with Acqui and Gemini is pretty big as well. Pretty gets the team together, I would say, as well. Like Gemini especially is the one who can keep us together. He's a pretty funny guy. And when we're finding ourselves in synergy with Sorry as well, to be honest.
Yeah, because obviously when you brought in yourself and Sorry, it's a big change. It's they have the core trio, but then you and Sorry have come in, and I think for the most part, you guys have justified, being picked up by the team. Obviously, it's going to take a little bit of time and adjustment, but I think we saw the best of Makers and the worst of Makers in Challenger League. I want to talk a bit about your experience there. So I watched groups, and whenever I was looking at the teams at the start of Challenger League, I was like, right, Makers are either going to be right up at the top as one of the top teams in Challenger League, or they could struggle because obviously, you and Sorry were relatively new to the team at that point. And I think after the first game that you played in groups, it was like, no, these guys, Makers, they're definitely up there in the top 2-3 teams in Challenger League. And you kind of proved that through groups. But once you got out of groups, things got a little bit maybe more difficult. The best of threes, some things went well. Obviously, your bank is incredible. You guys have a really good bank. But when you look back at the experience of Challenger League, how did you enjoy, first off, the groups? Because obviously, like I said, groups, you guys were pretty much perfect. Talk us through, what the vibe was like on the team. It was the first Challenger League in a year, so you're playing against teams that you normally would only scrim against.
Okay. So, yeah, we came into Challenger with a pretty new roster change. So Sorry joined the team around September, I believe. So even though we worked a lot, we didn't have much practice with that roster. So we worked really hard the weeks before Challenger started, and I believe that's also a reason why we started off pretty well. Like we had put a lot of hours of training, and we were confident we were gonna smash. We were pretty confident about it. So every game in groups, I believe we feel pretty strong, yeah, and we were able to go almost unbeaten in groups. We lost to the second game to Tenstar on Villa, I believe. Yeah, it was on Villa. Another reason why I think we went on pretty well in groups and then we kinda fell off is because how do you say that? Confidence. Like first game against Tenstar, it was a pretty big game. Like there were M&M Academy in our group and the next French team. I don't remember the name. It was French name.
Was it? It wasn't KVM, was it?
Yeah. It was KVM. That's right. It was KVM. So I think Tenstar was our biggest opponent in the group, and we started off with a pretty big win. Like that gave us a lot of confidence throughout the whole of groups.
Then
like for sorry
no, go ahead.
for the playoffs, I think we were a bit we were less confident, I believe. And what was our first game of playoffs? It was
J-Links.
Yeah, J-Links. It was it was a roller coaster, that game, honestly, with all the Rios problems, with Turco having problem with his connection, with our comeback on Skyscraper on defenses. Like that was probably the worst game of TL we played, honestly. Even though we won it and we lost others, that was surely the worst game. We kind of picked it up against Wild the next game. We were able to recover from a horrible cafe. We were able to win 2 maps in a row to come back. And then after that we lost, I believe.
Yeah. Well, it was one of those things that you guys, once Challenger League started, you really couldn't avoid 10-star. It was the amount of times you played 10-star over a short period of time, and then obviously you went up against Dunlimited, and I think Dunlimited have to be a very tough team to play against. You know, the style of Siege they play, it's a little bit different than all the other teams in Challenger League. But I think for you guys, though, obviously you didn't win Challenger League, but you find yourselves in a scenario now where you're in the last chance qualifiers for SI, and Dunlimited didn't make it, 10-star didn't make it, you know, J-Links, none of the sides that you were facing Challenger League made it, and you guys did. So I'm sure if you were given the opportunity before Challenger League started, you know, to finish in the top 3 of Challenger League and then get into last chance qualifiers for SI, you probably would have taken that over winning Challenger League and not being in this position. So over this weekend, you have a chance of potentially playing 3 teams. You've got Navi in there, who have, you know, a couple of players like yourself. They played a tier 3, tier 4 over a year ago. Now they find themselves playing inside of this scenario, tier 1. You've got, obviously, Team Secret, who've made a couple of changes as well over the last stage. And then the nostalgia team, you know, the ex-Empire team that a lot of people look at and say, you know, these guys were in SI finals, never mind, you know, just make it SI. They played in SI finals. But looking at the way form has gone and looking at the way you guys played over the open quals, you're bound to be pretty confident. I know Fresh actually thinks that you guys could cause an upset this weekend.
Well, I believe we can do it as well. I believe in ourselves. I believe in the work we put in once again. I believe we worked really well to prepare for these games. So yeah, ex-Empire, I think even though they haven't been playing like official games in a while, even though they've been out of Pro League, out of the scene, I know they haven't been out of the game. I know it for sure. We play them sometimes in Scream, and I know they're still good. I know they're still good. I believe they're gonna be the strongest team in these Quals, even though Navi and Secret have proven them their strength as well in the last Pro League season. They haven't done pretty well, but I've seen them not playing bad. Like, it's gonna be a tough qualifier. It's gonna be surely a tough qualifier.
Yeah. Do you think that teams will be looking to get bank out of the map pool?
Well, about our bank, like every time we've played it pretty well. But I think that's also a reason why teams could think of playing it, because we've played it a lot of times.
Yeah.
We've played it a lot of times. Maybe we've shown everything we have. Maybe we haven't. Who knows?
Yeah.
So I feel like some teams could feel it. Like, especially when we went against another Russian team, the TT9 roster in the qualifier. We went on playing bank, even though it was one of their best maps, I believe, and we still played pretty well. So I actually don't know if they're gonna ban our bank.
Yeah,
we'll see.
Well, I'm excited. Like, I think the matchups on paper look pretty good. If I'm not wrong, you guys are going up against outsiders in game number 1 tomorrow, which is going to be an exciting one. You know, you've already beat TT9. Maybe you could go and beat the second team from that region. But you spoke about Lolo being a difference maker a little while ago, and you know, I think most people would agree. Looking at the 3 teams that are going into this weekend alongside you guys, are there any players out there that you would say are a real difference maker for those teams? Like, obviously you might not be afraid of these players, but just players that, you know, you admire and say, yeah, we can't let that guy get on a burner.
Okay, so player I admire, there's surely Shepard. I admire Shepard for his role, his support role, and all of this season. But players that could make a difference, like players that can carry, I think I just have to say Joystick.
Yeah.
Like I literally have just to say Joystick.
Yeah.
For everything he has done in the competitive, for if he's in the mood, if he has a good match, he can smash, and he can smash pretty hard. Like, we have to stop. If there is anyone we have to stop, it's Joystick.
Yeah. Well, as I said, we'll find out tomorrow. You know, the action kicks off tomorrow. I think the best thing is for all 4 teams is it is a double elimination bracket. So, you know, if a team does lose on the first map, or first best of 3, it's not necessarily over just yet. But I want to step away from actually playing for a moment. And we spoke a little bit before the call started, and obviously Makers have a team house. You guys are based in Rome, which is not the worst place in the world to live. It's pretty scenic, but you know, you technically live there, but you technically don't. You know, you were kind of saying you're between 2. What's it actually like living inside of a team house? And obviously the whole team isn't always there, but you know, what's it like being there with some of your teammates and your coach? Like, does it really improve you as a player being in that position every day?
Okay, so the main reason why I'm here is because I live in the middle of nowhere and my connection is terrible. So the reason why I started to come here was for internet mostly. But then I'm also coming more often right now because we have a lot of fun here, honestly. Even if it's just me, the coach, and the guy who manages the house. His name is Bro. we have even if it's just the 3 of us, it's a lot of fun, honestly. Like living with people you work with your friends, it's really dope. Like, Sorry comes is starting to come more often, and I'm having a lot of fun with him as well. We had a boot camp about 2 weeks ago, I think. That was a lot of fun. That was really, really a lot of fun when everyone came down here. So yeah, living in a gaming house, like full time. I've been to MIBR gaming house in Brazil, and that is insane. That is like, this is pretty hype for me, the way I see it. But that is another level.
Yeah.
Like I've been to their house and it's literally insane. That's another level of living in house because they're literally living there.
Yeah.
They're playing their Pro League season in Sao Paulo. They're living their life together, having screams all day. Like that's really dope. That's really insane.
Yeah.
But for the reality I'm living in, like Europe being a bit behind other regions, I think, on the esports scene, and especially Italy, being behind in it. What I'm living, I think it's the dream of for an Italian player.
Well, I think, though, it's up to teams like you guys to set the tone and to kind of bring other teams into that same sort of scenario. Like, I know all the guys in NA, they were living in Vegas, and,
Yeah.
I spoke to Yeti and Bosco from SSG, and they were saying in their team house that table tennis is what they do when they're not playing Siege and it gets pretty competitive. Is there anything in your team house that gets a little bit competitive outside of Siege whenever you guys are there?
Well, when we were here, the most competitive thing was the football match.
Yeah.
We played a football match 5v5. That was that was just hilarious. But that was like the one time we bootcamped 2 weeks ago. Outside of that, there's FIFA, obviously. There's we have the like OG Pong, the one on the Atari console
with a little.
Yeah, we have that in. We have that on the like live version. We have a table, like big table, and it's just that. It's just the Pong.
Yeah.
And we play that to set competitive scores against us. And that's pretty hype as well. But the football match was another really fun thing we did.
Look, if you guys make a test side, maybe we'll get a big football game at minus 20 degrees Celsius out in Montreal. Not quite sure to be as warm as Rome was going to get in the summer, but we'll deal with it. So then yourself, what do you do to kind of keep yourself interested outside of Siege? Like, do you have any hobbies? Like, do you go to games when you're in Rome? Like, what sort of things are you into doing?
So I was pretty into football before I started with Siege. I played football in a team for about 10 years since I was very little. Then I kind of left it like on the side to play with friends sometimes. And now I'm almost never playing it. What I do the most now outside of Siege is reading.
Yeah.
Like I like to read books. Yeah, mostly like fantasy books. I like to watch TV series as well, films, but not as much as reading.
Yeah. So for me, I'm kind of similar to you. I would listen to a lot of podcasts. I don't read a lot of books, but I'd listen to audiobooks because just with my day job, I don't actually have the time to actually read. But no, that's cool.
Yeah, I find it pretty interesting. Outside of that, maybe just going out in the nature. Where I live, even though it is the middle of nowhere, what we have is mountains. Not very high. Like I don't live in the Alps, but the middle part of Italy have pretty good mountains to go out to, and that's pretty fun as well. Even though I haven't been there, I haven't been out there in a while because of Siege taking a lot of my time. Outside of this, not much more. I believe one thing that I found pretty funny throughout my life is that I've not like played, I've done sailing.
Yeah.
Which is really fun. Like the funniest sport I've done. Like the one that really got into me. Even though I'm a mountain guy, I had a house by the sea near Rome, and so we were used to go on vacation there. And then my parents brought me into this like kind of sailing course for beginners when I was pretty young still. And I started doing it competitively as well. So that was really funny. That was really insane, even though I haven't done it in years now.
Yeah. So this is where I kind of want to ask you something about this weekend again. obviously, I don't know if you knew this, but Italy is the most represented region in these close qualifiers this weekend. There's 6 Italian players playing, which is more than any other region has. The only other one, of course, is Teb, who's playing for Navi at the minute.
Yeah.
Do you guys want to get a game against Navi to kind of beat Teb? Like, do you guys get on with them? Is it a game that you kind of want to play, or would you rather avoid them?
Well, obviously, being the only other Italian that right now is playing at a high level, he's a great friend. We don't speak a lot, but we don't have a competitive mindset against him. Like, we're not against him, obviously. He's still our friend. So having to beat him will be pretty hype, I believe. Will be pretty tough as well. Navi are a great team. So we're kind of looking forward to playing them. Yeah, we can say that. We're looking forward to playing them as well.
Yeah, well, it'll be a fun one. I know it is good for the region to have, 6 players playing this weekend, which, as I said, is more than any other region has. So I suppose we're kind of coming to the end of the interview at this point, Dora. So the last question I want to ask you is, obviously with this weekend coming up, you're playing against outsiders, the ex-Empire roster. Is there anything you want to say to the Makers fans, or even just fans of Siege in general, to get them behind you guys for the weekend?
Well, to the Makers fan, I always thank them for the support they give us. They're always out there on Twitch chats supporting us. Even in my DMs, I get a lot of comments, which I'm they make me feel great. Know that there are supporters supporting us, and even to the not the Makers supporters, like usual Italian supporters, but throughout the whole Europe region. I know there are a lot. We have a lot of supporters. I know it, and I want to thank them as well. And I'm waiting for them to show their support in these next 2 days of matches. So we'll give it our all. We'll give everything we have. That's all we have right now. Challenger is done. We don't have a national league that's gonna start soon. These 2 days of playing is all we have, and we're gonna give everything.
Yeah. So what you're saying is you want to see lots of Forza Makers in chat. That's what we want to see. Well,
yeah.
Well, Dora, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. It's the first time we've ever had a chance to speak. I wish you best of luck this weekend. I know that
Thank you,
a lot of people out there would love to see Makers, beat the odds again and be the tier 2 team that goes ahead and makes its way into SI, which would be an incredible story that I know you want to be part of. If you're watching at home and you haven't already, please give Dora a follow on his socials. It's at Dora_R6, if I'm not right. If I'm right.
Yeah.
So give him a follow on his socials. Give the other guys a follow too, just to keep up with what Makers are doing. But see you guys tomorrow for a great game. Thank you all for watching, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you, Gibson, for having me.